is working.
Yeah,
Okay, you
it's
guys.
working.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for that great introduction. My name is Clifford. I'm the regional sales director for Asia Pacific from Thrive. And today we're going to bring you a product called Lucy Security. But even before we go about the context of the product itself, what functions, features, and the fun bits that we're going to have, let me bring you back. In terms of the really key topic here is creating a human firewall. How do we secure the human factor for a safer digital workplace here? Um, in your organization itself. That's what we want to achieve today, right? So if we go back a little, just to understand what's the current state, the challenges that you guys are facing today, we want to really understand a little bit more in terms of what is, the challenges that's ongoing. As Sumit has sent in his invite itself to you guys on the call today, 95% of data breaches happens because of a human factor. And that's one of the key challenges today we are facing. How do we train humans? How do we protect the humans? And what risks does it involve, in security awareness training, in cybersecurity breaches? If you just look at, habits of ongoing trends, one of the key traits of, social engineering breaches, of email security breaches, or cyber breaches that's happening is that employees follows habit, and it becomes your biggest threat. If you look at something that IBM has shared early on in 2023, 2024, you see that, phishing simulation, phishing attacks, stolen accreditation, business email being compromised, social engineering attacks. These all classified under the human factor. The loss of a human, the cause of a human breaches in a organization itself, and the cost of it is significantly higher in it as well. And one of the key things that you can actually prevent that is really simple, is by building resilience through ongoing training. Security awareness training today is not just only about achieving a compliance status or achieving a baseline compliance. It's not only just about teaching the correct behavior. It's about changing culture, and minimizing the risk that you have within the organization. And that's according to Gartner's. We no longer we're just doing security awareness training as a compliance, requirement, a tick off the checkbox list that we have, for ISO 27001 certification or any other regulatory requirements. What we're here to do is really to change culture, to change the user's behavior within your organization itself. And really, our vision is to really be able to cover 360 degrees of human factor risk. In Thrive, one of the key things that we really always focus on is how do we change mind, how do we impart the correct skill set for you, to ensure that your employees are the first line of defense, are the human firewall. So one of the key things that you can always do is talking about security awareness training. I'm going to dive in a little bit more in terms of how we do phishing simulation, how we identify risks, how do we bring security awareness training to your organization to empower your organization. you know but with that being said, despite all the technology advancement today, with the weakest link within cybersecurity is always the human element. And it is the human challenge, because if you look at it, fundamentally, the human behavior is the easiest way to hack into your organization, not your perimeter defense. Hackers knows those things are really hard to break. And if you look a little bit deeper, the dangers of us neglecting social engineering attack is that cybersecurity team always perform. You're always getting your service provider to perform cybersecurity tests, like VAPT tests, to identify the risk within the organization itself. But how do we ensure that the employees are protected? How do we measure the employees in terms of if they are vulnerable or not? And that's what we're here for. If you look at the past cyber attacks here, these are really large companies across Asia Pacific. So there'll be airlines like Air Asia, Dropbox, Shin, Toyota. You know, their breaches are happening because of a lack of cybersecurity awareness within the organization itself. And you can see the different attacks that has happened, and the amount of personal data that is being breached and being collected. And you could ask me, hey Clifford, so what's the point of collecting all this data? Data equals to money. When you have a personal data of someone, you are able to resell this information on the dark web, for quite a lot of money, and there are ongoing attackers that are, collecting this information, selling it in auctions, selling them in dark web options across the web itself. So if we look at social engineering attacks and we want to dive a little bit of, understanding the art of human hacking, the art of how does, attackers create, frauds, create identity theft within an organization, we first need to understand how attackers utilize, psychological manipulation to install fear and excitement within the organization itself, within the users that you have. What do they happen? How does it happen? If you look at this chart, I always like to share this way. Social engineering attacks happen in four different categories. Number one, there'll be a discovery phase. In discovery phase, what the hackers are going to do, they're going to understand you as an organization. They're going to understand they're going to do deep research in terms of understanding who are your finance team, who are your HR, who's your management team. And these information are not hard to get, to be very honest. With today's LinkedIn profile, with today's technology and AI technology, that information is all available on the web itself. That's not something that it's really hard to get comparing 10 years ago, when we don't have such connectivity. In today's context, that connectivity, that profiling is available at a snap of a finger. I was just joking with Sumit just now as well, how AI has advanced our entire, human population in terms of improving workspace, improving how the way we behave, and how the way we utilize certain tools. But with that being said, those tools can go against us as well, in terms of discovery. Once the attacker has gotten a profile of the users that they want to attack, gotten you as a profile, as a target that they want, we're going to start using deception and hook methodology. What does deception and hook methodology means? What they're going to do is they're going to understand what pushes your users more. They're going to start off with very minor attacks, like sending them vouchers, sending them, fake vouchers, fake attacks. They're never going to breach your cybersecurity. What they're going to do is they're going to test the boundaries of where your users are vulnerable before they even start the attack itself. And then once they've done the attack, they'll consistently retry the entire cycle with multiple users. So don't think that cyber attack just happens only once. If you've gotten once attack, you're bound to get the second and a third wave, in different contexts of it itself. So with that being said, we kind of understand how social engineering works. So what type of social engineering attacks really affect you guys today? And there's something that you guys need to ask yourself, is it spear phishing? Is it whaling? Is it SMSs? And something that I always like to ask my audience are, when is the last time you received a scam call or a scam SMSs? So one of the key challenges in the marketplace is we receive them on a daily basis. And sometimes we get so numb by these attacks, that we just brush them off as like it's normal, it's the new normalcy. They got our numbers, they got our data. It's fine, as long as I'm not clicking on it. There will be times where you accidentally, and you cannot assure that every employee within your organization is as safe as you do, as clear in terms of going through their messages, going through their emails, as clinical as you do. So with that being said, we always have, in cybersecurity, we always believe zero trust. But what we're going to talk about a little bit more is in terms of email being compromised and data breaches. Just give you some numbers in hand. In 2022, uh, just in 2022, from 2015 to 2022 itself, $45.7 billion vanished due to email business email being compromised. We call it a BEC attack. The average BEC attack costs an organization of at least 125,000 US dollars. That's a 300% increase, from 2015 itself. And you can see this does not limit. It's not a when it will attack you. It's how they will attack you. That's the main question today we are asking. And how do we train our employees to prevent them from the next attack? How do we prevent our organization from next attack? How do we change the employee's mind within an organization itself to really understand? So your business know what you're up against. The question here is, how do we go about it? How do we look at why BEC is so effective? How do we prevent the next attack from happening? One of the key challenges with BEC is it's highly targeted. BECs normally don't contain any malware. it exploit the human nature, and it's often underreported. So today, as an organization, if you got an attack, you most probably find your service vendor. You're not going to report to your national cybersecurity agency to let them know that, hey, I got an attack. Maybe a few million of my users' data has been collected from this or breach, or you might not even know the surface of attack itself. And that's why it's so effective. And if you look at BEC, it gets even scarier, because in the next gen of BEC attacks, uh, there will be a continuation of email spoofing. It's going to get better because of AI. You know, BEC is no longer just being done by the advanced attacker. BEC can be done by any criminal minds, any attacker, because of AI. And if you look at that itself, when we try to impersonate someone, there is obviously AI impersonation that's ongoing. There's deepfake that leverages on AI. There is insider threats that collects information, resell it to someone else, and you don't know all this information. You don't know how to protect it unless your users are trained. you know and one of the key challenges with AI coming on board is there are AI tools that are designed as attacking tools. And these attacking tools are not designed to attack your systems itself. They are designed to attack your users within the organization itself. They're able to automate, collect the entire, what we call the four steps attack cycle, just to attack you as an organization itself. And that's really scary. you know um one of the key challenges with Lucy Security, what we always talk about is how do we prevent that? How do we identify, risky employees' behavior? How do we act against them? And one of the key things is that over 10 million users has been on our platform. We have over 15,000 deployments globally. We have over 1,000 different phishing templates, and we support 130 different languages. That includes Hindi as well. So it doesn't mean that your employees might not be able to speak English. They might not be the most comfortable in doing training in English. We can localize them in your local language itself. What makes Thrive really different is the way we identify risks and the way we train the users itself. So if you look at Thrive, and you look at other security awareness training vendors out there, one of the key challenges that they're ongoing in the marketplace is they are always going to tell you use email as a attack vector to test your users, to identify who are the risky users. And that's the only mechanism that they're using right now. But the bigger challenge here is that users most of the time they're going to spend on their mobile phone at work, outside of work. So in Thrive, when we talk about realistic phishing attack simulation, we're going to talk about bring your own device as well, mobile devices. And the way we do it here is really simple as well. We have something called multi-vector phishing attack. What that means is that rather than just sending out a phishing email to your users via email itself, we're going to do phishing attack that is on your mobile phone. And how do we do it? We have WhatsApp integration with SMSs that we can utilize. We can do phishing attacks on the platform. We can do QR code, around the offices. You're able to do email as well. So with that being said, in Thrive, what we always like to say is that there is no such thing as a single vector attack. We focus here on multi-vector double barrel attacks. What we do here is you are able to control how attacks happen within your organization itself. We are able to simulate how an attacker would really attack you. And with partner with Sumit, one of the key things is that they are the experts in terms of doing penetration testings. They're able to utilize our tool to really clearly identify risks within your organization itself. And that really matters, because in today's context, no one is able to correctly identify the user's risk within the organization. If you're using traditional security awareness training, you're never going to get the correct statement. You're never going to get the correct stats that you need to really identify who are the risky users within your organization itself. And something that we have done is that we also do something called point of failure training. The moment a user fails a phishing test, we call it the point of failure training. That is when the users needs to do training. One of the key challenges in the market right now is vendors are going to tell you, hey, it's okay, you can collect those information, train them again on a second day, or at a convenient time once you have evaluated or analyzed the data of the users itself. That's not how we do it here. What we recognize is that if a user have gotten a phishing attack, gotten a simulated failed a simulated phishing attack, that's the point where the users needs to be trained. That is the point where we need to train the users. We need to advise them that they need to be really aware of, coupled with the correct policy that helps us to really train users more effectively. And in Thrive, one of the key things we talk about is ACT. You know,
So Clifford,
hmm
before moving ahead, like we have a poll one
hmm
coming up.
yep.
So Abhishek, please go for it. Poll one. Poll one says that how often does your organization conduct phishing simulations? So we are asking this question to our attendees if they can answer, like what are the objective, what are the things which they are using the periodic phishing simulation activity if they are using any kind of a product within the company. If they can give us a view on this particular poll, so it will easier for us to anticipate about the product and we can contact you, we can connect you accordingly. We will wait for 5 more seconds to go on. Please go ahead, Cliff.
All right, sure, awesome. So while the poll is going on, I'm looking at it. Not many people is clicking on the poll yet. Please do submit your votes. Let us know, how often does your organization conduct phishing simulation? That really helps us to really gauge, how well your cybersecurity posture is. And in Thrive, one of the key things that we do is how do we act against such attacks? How do we utilize the platform to act against such attack? And in us, ACT is acronym for Advanced Attacking Tool, customizable training, and a trusted technology. You know, one of the key things that we are going to explore in security awareness training is you're going to understand, the vast variety of attack factors that's going to happen in your organization. Things like phishing, WhatsApp attack that's on the rise. And the way we have designed our tool is inspired by how attackers, attacks you as an organization. So that really matters to us because we want to be in the head of attackers, pretending to be the attacker itself to really clearly identify risks within your organization. So we have done a heap load in terms of attack simulations, things that normally you don't see in the marketplace, like portable media is still something that is ongoing. And we talk about portable media, we're talking about OneDrive, we're talking about shared drive. No longer we're talking about just USB alone. Most organizations stopped using USB a long time ago. We could talk about cloud drives. How does cloud drives share? How does the folder that is laced with malicious file being shared within the organization? We're able to track that. We're talking about smishing. We're talking about WhatsApp phishing attack, phishing, whaling, things like that. With that advanced hacking simulation, basically what you're able to do is to be able to empower your organization to collectively understand the risks within the organization itself. And then with that, you're going to need something called customizable training. In Thrive, one of the key things, and in Lucy Security, one of the key things that we always focus on is how do we cater to the correct training for your organization after we have identified the risk itself. We have over 1,000 different phishing templates. We have over 500 different training modules that are done in 130 different languages. However, with that being said, what makes us truly unique is that you are able to request and say, hey, Sumit, I need something that is designed specifically for my organization. I have a new company policies that I need to be trained. I need my users to be trained on. I'm going to roll out a new cybersecurity policies. I need a training. Can you customize the training for me? And so we can confidently say yes, he can do that because Thrive, we're here to support him to do the customization, do the customized training for you to be able to utilize our platform to roll that compliance policy out to your different users to ensure that users are trained effectively and efficiently as well. All right. In terms of trusted technology, one of the key things that we do here is that we are not only just a cloud service provider, we are also able to do it on premise. And for your full privacy, especially for Indian clients, we have our cloud stored in India. That means that you're going to be compliant to India data sovereignty requirements, to have your data stored in India itself. That's a major benefit. No other vendors out there, is able to do both on premise and on cloud, and a cloud that has an instance directly in India itself. Data encryption, that is definitely for sure for all of your data that is going to be transacting through our platform will be encrypted. We have an entire managed service uh, arm to assist you alongside with our service partners to service you as our client itself. All right. you know, I've said quite a lot of things on this call, but let us jump into the demo. Let us take a look at how the platform functions, what the platform has to offer to you guys, and that's something that
So
I'm
meanwhile, Clifford, so we'll go for second poll also before the poll, so they can relate to the demo of this
mhm.
particular product. So our second poll says, Abhishek, please go on. What is the biggest challenge in implementing the phishing awareness training? Right. So generally, the option A says employees ignoring the training. That's a major issue which people think of. Second thing is lack of budget or resources. C is measuring effectiveness. It is hard to measure the effectiveness of any kind of awareness training. And last option is they don't have any phishing awareness program as of now. So I will request everyone who has joined this particular call to give us this poll result so that we can understand what is your criteria of choosing a particular product in the segment and how it is useful for your organization, right?
Thank you,
So we
Sumit.
will wait for 5 more seconds and then Clifford, you can go on.
Thank you, Sumit. Something that I like to, touch base again on with the audience as well. If you don't know where the poll is in the chat itself. Click on the chat button, click on those polls. Let us know, let us feedback. I know you guys are really shy. Don't be shy. Click on those polls. Let us know what are the challenges that you guys are facing when deploying such solutions, and then we can have that separate conversation with you guys in terms of what is ongoing. But with that being said, let me go back to the demo portal itself. Let me give you a walkthrough of what technical prowess we have in terms of security or manual training to get you guys excited. It's not a full demonstration. With that, you guys can set up a separate session with me. And submit, we can run through with you in depth in terms of how we can actually run a proof of concept and create that baseline for you. But what you're going to see is the moment you enter into the dashboard itself, you as the administrator of the organization is able to understand, hey, during onboarding, how many users have clicked on a phishing attack, what are the risky users within my organization itself, and how does that help me to identify who are these users itself. I'm going to talk about that later a little bit more, but what you can see is a trend line in terms of how we're going to suppress phishing trends within your organization itself. Security awareness training is not, and I always like to emphasize this, it's not a one-time only activity. One of the key things is that with security awareness training, you're going to change minds of an employee. It's never going to happen just a one-time training they're going to provide to them. It needs to be a consistent. At least I would say, at least you take 12, 6 to 12 months to change the user behavior. Scientifically, psychologically, it takes time to embed security at top of everyone's mind. You need time, and that's really important. Before an attack happens, what you really need to do is to identify the risky users, provide them with the correct training as well. So if you look at the campaign itself, and this is something that I would like to dive a little bit more for you guys. What kind of statistics can I understand? Once I've utilized your portal, what kind of threats can I find within an organization whenever you're launching a campaign. One of the key things that you can do is you can look at is the total number of recipients that has opened the email but have not clicked on the email itself. So we actually segregate those information. Something that we do also is that when you're sending out a simulated phishing attack, what we do is we actually scan your user's email ID as well. And then what we do is we actually cross-reference them with breach databases and the dark web. Basically, that helps you to ensure that those users that have clicked on, are they vulnerable? And if they are, we will list them down in a clear list for you guys to really identify, hey, which are the users that are vulnerable, which users has clicked on it. You're able to see who are the users that click on it. You can even tell how many times did they click on the link itself. And this link is not only just done on emails, it can be done on your WhatsApp, it can be done on SMSs. Basically, we're going to track the number of times they engage with the track link. All right. You're also able to look at the fish successful rate, users that have trained successfully, how many times have they watched the videos, so on and so forth. And most importantly, how many users have responded to the phishing email as well. And that's something that's really important, because if you talk about a phishing response, that means that users are most probably taking up their phone, asking questions on over WhatsApp, or emailing, replying to that person. Is like, hey, can you give me more information, something like that itself. So that's something that we can do in the platform itself, and that's something that is really interesting, to understand what kind of risk does your employee bring into the organization itself. With that being said, I'm going to show you guys how I can launch a really basic attack in under 3 minutes. So with us, we have a wizard that's really simple. Select the hyperlink attack. In this case, I'm just going to select a hyperlink attack just for everyone's, just for this demo purposes. But what I'm going to do here is really simple. I'm going to select an attack, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to select the template that I want to select, and I'm going to use a visa attack for this case. Uh, what you need to do is just put in the campaign name. So I have a campaign name maybe called XYZ, all right, and then I can put in the system domain. I can put in any domains that I want to, all right. And then, for example, I just want to pretend that I'm Sumit today, from Restrict, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take up this. Just give me a second. Let me set it up. Okay. So I'm going to pretend that I'm Sumit from Restrict. So I'm going to just go put in Sumit's name here. All right, and I can put in his email, his team email. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spoof him. I'm going to spoof that I'm from Threat Rescue. And then what I'm going to do is that, hey, you receive a fraudulent transaction. Click on next. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize a really simple temporary inbox, for us to just see how effective is it and how easy is it for us to create the attack. So attackers are going to have similar tools like us. They're just going to put in a recipient, select a template, send it out to you guys, via email. So I'm just going to do an email attack today because I don't have your mobile numbers. I can't send a WhatsApp attack to you guys. Uh, so if not, I won't do that for you guys to see, when you receive an attack via the email itself. But I'll say within less than 2 seconds, that email is going to happen. And what you're going to see here is I'm Sumit receive an email from, for example, I'm maybe Abhishek, and I receive an email from Sumit, from Red Team, at trashrescue.com, and they said, hey, we received a suspicious, transaction. You know, Look at this. There's Visa, there's Mastercard secure code. Does it look real? Maybe, maybe not. But the email looks real. I'm setting out from Threat Rescue and things like that. So if I click on this email itself, I fallen prey for a phishing attack. It's as simple as that. A attack doesn't take really long to create on our platform, but what you're going to have is you're going to have the ability to do that at your own time, at your own organization, with consultation with our service provider as well. So that's one of the key major benefits. Is how easy, how fast is it, and you can automate the whole entire process. That process doesn't require a lot of time. It doesn't require you to invest a lot of resources, both on the liquidity front and also on the resource front as well. So with us, we are lightweight, we're easy to deploy, and I would say within 48 hours upon you submitting your purchase order, you can start that conversation with us, in terms of the setup of the conversation of the attacks itself. And it's really that fast, in terms of how we create something that we're going to look at as well. As I was sharing with Sumit, we're going to share with you guys some of our training modules to give you guys, some interest in terms of what kind of training are my users going to receive, how is Thrive going to do training for us. And this is something that I'm going to share with you guys. So bear with me. It's going to be a 30-second long video, just to give you guys some insight of how we do training here.
Phishing is a form of social engineering that uses email, text messages, or instant messages to trick any individual into revealing personal or organizational information. The attackers pose as a trustworthy organization or entity, such as a bank or a services company. Users encounter phishing as a link in the message body, an attached file, or even a link inside an attached file.
you know. So one of the key things that we do here in Thrive is interaction with the users itself when you're doing training. Something that we notice is that there's no reason for us to just do training just by showing them a 5 to 10 minute video, you know. They might not learn anything. So what we have done is we've done something called interactive training videos. The way your users interact with the training video is how we're going to train your users, you know, to correct them. You know, if the user said, hey, no, I don't think Keith is endangered of a phishing attack, what happens? You bring them to scenario 2. If it's yes, you bring them to scenario 3, something like that. You know, to give them an interaction. And part of the training itself, it does is will evaluate the users in terms of how they input the the selections of the input itself, and also the quizzes and games is embedded in the training module itself. We also do have Hindi training modules. I'm going to share with you a very short clip as well for a Hindi training video, just to give you guys an idea how we do training. So training doesn't have to be, you know, all human beings. There will be also avatars that brings you guys through.
इस
So over
छोटी
here,
सी ट्रेनिंग में आपको बुनियादी जानकारी, उदाहरणों और टिप्स के माध्यम से ईमेल जोखिमों के बारे में बताया जाएगा ताकि आप अपनी और अपनी
so you know, in different training modules, we will present different items for them, you know, just to give them additional interaction in terms of how, you know, different tips that we have. You know, we have a whole host of, you know, Hindi trainings that are done, you know, in human forms or in Hindi forms. You know, it depends on what you're looking for. But we have, so if you look at the, we call it awareness training library itself, you know, we have over a whole host of 500 different training modules that can be customized to your needs. You know, if you don't like the certain language that we have utilized, you don't like the way the voice sounds, the text sounds, you can always raise a service request to us. We can always help you to customize that. You know, in Thrive, we have a team of over 200 content providers that really does content customization, content creation, and you'll be assured that the quality of the trainings that you're going to receive is really interesting, you know, in the platform itself. So if you guys do have any other questions, you know, and if you're really interested in connecting with us, let us know. But if not, then let's, you know, let me part you guys with one final statement here before we jump into the Q&A. All right. So it's really time to act. You know, it's really time for you to change your employees' mindsets and make them your first line of defense. Always remember, your employees are the cornerstone of your organization, not technology, not your perimeter defense, but your employee. You know, without the human line of defense, you know, without the first line of defense, you guys are all truly vulnerable, especially in the India market space. You guys are rated one of the highest country, one of the most vulnerable countries in the world, you know, in regards to cyber attacks, you know. And that's one of the key things that we really want to emphasize on is we are all not safe, but we can make it safer for you guys, you know, by understanding your employee. So it's really time to act. All right, with that being said, I'm going to move on to Q&A. Sumit, I'll hand the time back to you.
Before going on a Q&A, we have a third poll raising for the same. So, how confident are you that your employees can spot a phishing email now? Abhishek?
It's a really good question here, you know, Sumit. One of the key things that we always talk about with a lot of our clients is how confident are they in terms of, you know, spotting how employees are able to spot a phishing email or a phishing attack, you know, not just only on the email perspective, but also on, you know, cyber attacks. You know, how sure are they of their employees, you know, um, have any of the employees gotten scammed, you know, in different ways, you know, like on the phone or over WhatsApp, you know, Telegram, things like that, you know. So, you know, I'm glad, you know, we have 4 responses. Two of them said they have no idea. That's very true, because we have really truly no idea how to evaluate, and, you know, but we can give you the idea in terms of, you know, and analyze the users for you in terms of, you know, how risky your users' behavior are. And those who say somewhat confident, we're even more so excited. You know, if you allow us to do a POC, a proof of concept with you guys, we can give you a clearer identity in terms of risk analysis report for you guys, you know, to identify the risk that you guys have within your organization itself. All right.
Right. So we have another poll, which says that what percentage of employees in your organization have fallen for phishing attempt in past years? Abhishek, please go ahead. So it's 0 to 10%, 11 to 30, 31 to 50, or not sure.
someone in the chat is really confident that the employees, have never gotten a attack before. That's really good. That's really good. That means that either they're doing something right, with the employees. I'm glad to speak to the person who have clicked on. I'm absolutely sure that my employee has never gotten an attack, or 10% of my employees got an attack. That's good.
Right. So we have a last poll also. What would be the most valuable to you in the phishing awareness solution? So we will request everyone, this is the last poll, then we will go for a question answer round, and you can just raise your hand and ask question to Clifford. Right. So if anybody is having any question related to the product or technology or the same concept, so please ask your question. I will unmute you and you can ask your question, or you can write down your question in chat box. So we will read it for you.
Feel free to ask me anything under the sun. So it's really a Q&A. You can ask me anything under the sun, uh, related or not related. I'm here to answer that question for you guys.
So let me start. I'll ask you one question, Clifford.
Oh,
Uh,
Sumit, before we start, we saw a hand raised.
okay, Jitendra. Okay, Jitendra. I'm just doing it for you. I'm just making you presenter. You can ask your question after unmuting yourself. Now you can unmute and ask your question. Jitendra, please unmute yourself and ask your question. If you are not able to do that, please let me know.
Yeah, hello.
Yep, hi.
Yeah, hi. Yeah.
Uh, uh, Good morning to all. Uh, so my question is more related with in case we are migrating to cloud or somebody who's already there in cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Before migrating to cloud, what are the measures that we have to take care so that these type of issues will not happen with my users who are using my hosted ERP system or maybe my uh, email systems or maybe a file resource which are shared and all that. If you can help me there with the suggestions, please.
Yep, definitely, definitely. So I think this would be a joint answer between me and Sumit as well. Some of the services that they can provide in terms of securing your organization. But from a security front, from a human factor front, what I would suggest is that one of the key things before even doing a migration into a cloud environment, the first thing to really look at is the human risk factor. Run through a risk report with us. Run through at least one security um exercise with us. What that means is that go through a phishing attack with us, testing your users on a few fronts. Number one, test on their mobile devices, going through something like a WhatsApp attack, in combination of an email attack, just to understand who are the risky users. One of the key things that you can always do and you should always do before a massive migration is to really understand the risk of the employees. Only when you understand the risk of the employees itself can you then correct with the correct policies, correct training, give them a better understanding of what they're heading into as well. One of the key things that you can always do as well, and something that I always suggest anyone that is doing a massive migration, is that understanding risk is one component. Having the correct policies within the organization itself, that really matters as well, in terms of restricting them on bring their own devices, restricting access of their mobile phone devices as well, how they should be working, when the solutions are on cloud itself. Cloud is a really powerful tool. That means that they are able to access your solution anywhere around the world. Is there a IP restrictions? Is there certain restrictions within our organization on when and how they should be able to access that resource itself? Once it's given. Of course, to me, I think that's a really good question for you to answer as well, to
Yes.
chip in on that.
Yeah, Clifford has already mentioned when you are migrating to cloud from your in-house environment, you should always take care of your access management, like how the application will be accessed by the employees, right? So there are solutions available where you can manage your access, or you can deploy MFA, SSO kind of a solution for having authentication-based access for your applications. So it will definitely secure your application for unauthorized access. And you should also deploy a ZTNA kind of a product where zero trust or the VPN usage is not required. Like we can enable the application through an agent on the basis of authentication from the application itself, right? So these two things you can take care when you are migrating from in-house to cloud environment for better access policies.
Okay, sounds
Did I
good.
ask? Okay, okay. Any other person who wants to ask any question to Clifford? So please let me know. So I was asking one question to Clifford. So my question was like, how can Lucy phishing simulation be tailored to address industry-specific threat and employees' role?
And it's a
For
really good
example,
question.
yeah, manufacturing companies or companies which are not IT enabled, but such kind of a solution will be required for such companies as well. So how it will beneficial for such industries?
Yeah, and it's really good question, because if you look at the industry itself, especially for India, as you guys are going through a technological what you call revolution, in terms of, going through industrial 4.0, or even more than that, in terms of IT fight, like this, I like to say IT fight the workforce. One of the key things is that with Lucy Security, one of the things that you can do is really identify risk. And again, and you see the same topic that I've been always talking about. It's really about identifying risk and correcting the correct behavior and having the correct cybersecurity posture. That really matters, because today, in today's context, once you're moved away from legacy paper pen solution, moving on to the internet itself, you never know what is going to happen, especially in slightly dated industries like manufacturing, where it has always been traditionally a very pen and paper environment. Migrating to cloud, moving into the internet era, with new technologies being enabled, we clearly need to identify uh, who are the risky users within the organization, and how do we train them as well. Training does not come on just a specific day, but training comes as a consistent program that you're going to build around the users itself. Building a cybersecurity awareness training program for your employees will help to significantly reduce the risk of a cyber attack within an organization, especially you're progressing into the phase of technologies, having integration of technologies within your organization itself. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So have you analyzed something like what would be the percentage of uh, security levels can be enhanced when we deploy a phishing simulation solution in
Yep.
the
So
company?
yep. So in terms of ROI, in terms of how many percent can we suppress? I can give you the statistics. So um, for an organization that does not have security awareness in place, you have approximately around 80% chance of getting a cyber attack within 6 months of you going onto the cloud itself. With security awareness training, you're fundamentally suppress that. You're going to lower that at least by 60 or 60 to 70% of getting a cyber attack within the first 6 months of you going onto cloud, you going into um onto the internet itself. So that's one of the key things that we are able to do, and those stats are out there in the market, and that's something that we have seen even for own eyes as well here in Lucy Security, us preventing cyber attack that's happening. In fact, one of the key things that I just had a really funny story. I was just going through with an Indian client, a pretty large Indian client, that is in the cosmetic industry, and they have never gotten security awareness training done. And during my demonstration itself, what I did was I did a phishing attack to their email addresses. And normally, if you need to do a security awareness, you want to do a similar phishing attack to the users, you need to do whitelisting. But I skipped this. I skipped the entire step. what I did was I wanted to try if that email security perimeter defense is good enough. Are they secure enough? So I'm just gonna send that. So when I sent it through, it landed in the user's inbox. And then something else that reflected to me was that that user that I was speaking to, from the cybersecurity team, the email actually cross-reference flagged as a vulnerable user. That means that the user's email ID or identity has been compromised previously. So in a very short demonstration, we can also identify very clearly in terms of a user, even in a very large organization, that seems to have the correct policies with the correct protection, does not have it. So it's rather prevalent on that front. Yeah.
Okay. So are we having any questions? Anybody who wants to ask any question, please let me know. Okay,
Oh,
one more question from my side. Like in India, people are more looking at data privacy as one of the key framework which is coming up in India. So how your product will help or phishing simulation will help to work upon the data privacy security in this space?
yep. So it's really good question. I was waiting for that question to be raised to me in terms of with India DPTP coming up soon. The framework has already been kind of shared over the internet itself. The government setting their framework itself. And if you look at data privacy, one of the key things that the government has put in place is security awareness needs to be done. That shows that the government has recognized that security awareness, the first line of defense, doing training for users is important. Getting your users to be aware of privacy data will be important. Something that we're doing here in Lucy Security as well, in working in tandem with the Indian government as well, is to create a compliance training module that focuses on Data Privacy Act, and the data privacy laws of India itself. So that DPDB module will be available as soon in tandem with when the government launches DPDB into law, with the corrective measures that they put in place as well. So that's one of the key things that we are doing as well, in terms of monitoring data privacy, in terms of how we integrate into data privacy laws across the world. Not only just in India. So if you look at, for example, in the European space, GDPR, very early on, I think about 15 years ago when GDPR was first launched, in a very infancy form, we have already done a training module then, and it will continue changing and iterating new versions of it according to the changes of the law itself that happens across to different countries. So as long as your organization are operating in different countries, you can assure that we do have a co-response data privacy training to ensure that your users are trained on the different data privacy. If you don't have it, you can always raise up a service request to us. We can always help you to create that content for you.
Okay, I think Jitenji has one more question. Jitenji, please go ahead.
Hi, Sumit. This question was related to you and Luis both. So, Indian government has already started, providing cloud infrastructure services and all that for the entrepreneurs and the companies who are into these type of solutions for email, uh, small SMEs, ERP programs, and all that. So my question was, how important is this cloud management console and all that? Does that play a major role with having a cloud native solution or a private organized solutions?
So I think that is totally up to you. That is totally up to you. Like if you want to have a SaaS-based solution or your private cloud-based solution, or you want to host with public cloud, that is totally up to you,
Okay, okay,
right? So it is always advisable if you are able to have full security parameters, which is required to maintain a good cybersecurity posture, then you can use the same services. If it is available in-house, you can definitely go ahead with your own data center. Or if you have some like solution which is SaaS based and you have identified all the parameters with them and they have having good cybersecurity policies, then you can have a SaaS solution from them. Or you can go on a public cloud as well. If you don't want to invest in your data center and wants to move away from any kind of management internally, so you can definitely go on public cloud and provide managed services to the cloud company, and rest assured they will work well in that particular space.
Majorly, we IT heads and all that gets troublesome part of budgetary constraint from majority of the private organizations. Somebody who's from IT
Definitely,
industry specific one, but other like other verticals have always a constraint for it.
definitely. Budget is always like if you go on public cloud or AWS or Azure, sorry, the costing will be little higher in comparison to the private cloud companies like Spectra or Control S or any other company. So you need to check on the all the options because there are companies available who are working better than any other public cloud company, right? Yota is one of them, right?
Yeah,
So definitely you can get the good commercials, the benefit from Yota, like companies who are having more locations and more
it's
like
hard
power
negotiation
to
with the side, I guess, right? So
definitely. Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
sounds great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jitenji. And Jitenji, I again acknowledge you for the same, like you are in our eighth webinar and you are very much present there in all the webinars which we have hosted. And this is our last webinar and we will
Yeah,
be start again the series in April, and we will be like working on the companies who has asked us to contact them in March.
sure.
So we will be working with them and we will come back in April for more technologies, more discussions. Thank you for being
Sure.
there for us, Jitenji.
Always welcome.
So if there is no any other questions, we can move ahead. Clifford, I want to thank you for joining us at such a short notice. And it's a beautiful presentation and definitely like it will be helpful for both of us to get some foothold in Indian market with more clients and more partners.
You know what, thank you for extending the invitation, and I enjoyed the webinar series, joining you guys, speaking to the different business leaders in the different industry in the market space. And I've just flashed my email address on the screen itself. Really a huge thank you for having me here today. If there's any questions under the sun in terms of cybersecurity, I'm here. I bring along approximately around 10 years of experience in the cybersecurity space and from the vendor perspective. So yeah, if you have any questions, regarding anything under the sun, feel free to reach out to me and Sumit. We're here to help. And Sumit, never,
Thank
I'm
you,
always
Clifford.
here to support you, my friend.
Thank you, Richa, for your help organizing this particular webinar. Okay, so we will be just stopping the webinar here now. And thanks everyone for joining us. And we will come back in April, second week, with more technology to work upon.
Yeah, Sumit, just maybe let's just maybe stay on the line for a while longer. While we do a summary internally. All right.
Sure, sure.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for joining. All right, we're almost about there. Um, Abhishek, maybe you can help us to maybe put the rest of the participants that are not involved in this call. Oh, okay, they're all gone. Awesome.
Yeah,
All right,
tell
Sumit,
me.
what do you think about the presentation? Any feedbacks? Next step from
It
here.
was really good. It was really good. You are the one of the presenter who has taken the lively things as from my poll and from the content which we spoken about. So you're one of the good presenter which I have seen in a longer period of a time. I really appreciate your
Yep.
skill in that.
Yep. Anytime, my friend. Anytime you need me to, do another round of security awareness training, human firewall, social engineering attacks, let me know. And then I'm here to help. All right.
Sure, sure.
All right. Thanks, Vija. Thank you so much. Thank you, team, for having me on the call. Yep. Thank you,
Thank you,
Vija.
Kimberly.